Welcome back to Haunted and Historic Australia for another episode in our Adventures series. In this episode, we take a look at the Old Pitt Town Cemetery in Pitt Town.
Even though it's known as Old Pitt Town Cemetery, there is an interment in there that's as recent as 2020. So, Old Pitt Town Cemetery.
Now, we've established that Pitt Town was one of the 5 towns that Lachlan Macquarie created when he was Governor of New South Wales. We thought we'd start with the oldest cemetery, the Anglican cemetery, and then we'll move on to the church. We hope you enjoy. We're out here at Pitt Town Anglican Cemetery, and it looks as though there's a couple of graves down the back end. I've worked my way down the back. They're kind of new bits and started up the other end so we can cover ground. This looks interesting. In way of the cemetery, these ones look really old. I'm not 100% sure how old this cemetery is. Now that one there looks like 18. I'll just have to make sure I don't get swooped. What do we got? 1831. Mary W. or Mary I can't read that. Weaver, Mary Weaver, and also Edward Weaver. So it does look as though it's 1857, so it's definitely an old one. And next to it we've got Mary Wade. See if I can zoom in on that. 1871, and then next to that, I just don't want to step on any graves. There's probably unmarked around here. Who have we got here? 1837, I think. 27th. November 27th, 1837. Let's see. Mary Peyton. Let's see if I'll zoom out a tad. Mary Peyton. Part of this life. 27 years old. Who have we got here? Frances Maria Patton or Peyton. Yeah, so they're maybe the oldest down here. Have a look at some over here. Now we are doing more than just the cemetery. We want to go and see St James Anglican Church because that's a interesting little area too. They've used there's ants everywhere. That's the thing when doing this, that you've got to watch you don't get bitten by ants. Yeah, so just find somewhere that I can stand for a second. Oh, I'll just have to keep moving. Yeah, sorry, the St James Anglican Church has been used on Summer Bay for home and away as their church that people get married at and have funerals at. So we're going to go and check that out. Here we have, what have we got here? Aged 67 years. Let's see if I can get close enough without getting bitten. I just got to find a spot that I can stand in. There's so many of them. Alright, I'll walk out over here and zoom in just so I don't get bit. There's just so many back there, so many ants' nests. Now, yeah, they were just running around everywhere over there. Waller. Get a bit closer. Wright, Matthew Wright Waller. Now they're interesting looking, aren't they? Thomas Curl. Wonder why they're all together like that. Oh, I'm right over a nest. Just a sec. Ooh. Looks as though they may have gathered a couple together there because they don't really look like they should be together. Some of them are leaning on the back there. They may have just put them there. Perhaps in this area up here, as you can see, it's a vast area and there's a lot of new graves in here. Now it's very possible that there's a lot of unmarked graves in here. We find that time and time again. But I'll go down and see these ones. And be careful not to be swooped. I heard a bird before. Yeah, see, these ones kind of look like they've been placed a little bit. Some of them look like they should be there, and others look like they've been maybe placed together. Let me just straighten this up. Yeah. So we've got Joseph Wright in the big one, Robert Wright in the left, Ellen Buckridge in the middle one, and they all look like they're in the 1800s. 1865, 18 something there. They've definitely got the fence to block off the cemetery from people's properties because there's properties here. There's a house behind. Elizabeth Cunnery. Joseph Wright. So someone's actually got here. That looks as though a little sign. Apologies if I'm stepping on anyone's grave here. Here we go. In remembrance of Joseph Wright, arrived on the Scarborough, 1788. Wow, how about that? Buried the 30th of August, 1811, in Old Sydney Burial Ground, Town Hall. Wow. Yeah, that's right. Because people were buried closer to, obviously, when they came in. And then they kind of just moved the headstones and put train stations over the top, like Central and Town Hall, which is pretty rough. Now, and his wife, Ellen. So she's buried here. And their issue, which must mean their children perhaps, are they all buried here too? In 1988, by their descendants to commemorate 200 years in Australia. Wow. Now that's pretty cool. Good on you, descendants. That's the way to go. That's amazing. So they ended up here on the Scarborough in the First Fleet. So how about that? Daniel Buckridge, 1834. So this is quite old. This is really old. Well, it is one of the first 5 towns, isn't it? One of the 5 towns that... Let me see if I can go on an angle so the sun's not in the way. $1833. 55. Wow. I'll just go and see. Looks as though they've repaired this one too. Or not repaired, but like there's a little story to go along here. I'll just try and line that up with the sun in my eyes. Daniel Jurd, born in England, buried in Pitt Town. Convict arrived Perseus and his wife Elizabeth Nee Douglas. Born in Sydney, buried St Albans. There we go, and the children. Very nice. Oops, I'll zoom out a little bit now. Yeah, It's nice. I like that. People actually taking care of not only the stones, but like the actual place, the headstones, and then even putting a plaque to say who they were and making it a little bit clearer, because as we know, these poor little headstones don't seem to last. I mean, just take a look at this one here, for example. They just get so dirty and weathered, you know. It'd be nice to come and clean them, but you just wouldn't know really the best chemicals to use, if any chemical at all, really, because you don't want to erode it further. It brings me back to a time when I was a kid and I heard that using Coca-Cola would clean your coins up, and so I found an old 1 cent coin or 2 cent coin well after they'd been discontinued, and I thought, oh, I'm going to clean them up because they were pretty discoloured and everything dark. Put them in a Coke and forgot about it. Pretty much wiped whatever was on it off completely. Made it shiny. You just couldn't tell what it was. Okay, I'm standing in ants again. I'll just move over. Now, where are we? Ambrose Benjamin Mitchell and Frank Ambrose Mitchell. Wow, Elizabeth Mitchell and Robert Mitchell, 1892, and a couple of 1900s. But we can't read what that says. Unfortunately, they don't. John. Oh, it's too hard. I'll go and check out this one behind. These ones must be the oldest. I mean, I'm sure Mitch is probably coming up against some over there that are kind of oldish, but these definitely look to be the oldest. So far we've had an 1837, but that could be that they were moved as well. The body may have actually been moved from somewhere else. So we've got William Gatt, G-Y-A-T-T, Pitt Town, who died 1852, and his daughter. Oh, it looks as though, oops, all of his family are there. And Peter Corral, 1831. So that one's a bit older. And we've got more over here. So this is Pitt Town Anglican Cemetery. I know there's another cemetery. What have we got here? There's a little sign here. Oh God, look at all those ants. I don't know if you can see them, but there are ants wandering around everywhere. So I've just got to be very careful where I'm treading, lest I end up bitten. Okay, what have we got here? Elsie, Liz, Horton, David Horton. Here we go, let's see if I can. They are ants everywhere here. Might not be getting any closer, but let me see if I can find a patch that I can stand on just quickly to zoom in. This plaque commemorates centenary of the arrival of Robert and David Horton, presented by their many descendants. Alright, very nice. I'll just get out the ants' nest now. There's more ants. Bloody ants. We've had all this rain lately. Oh geez. Okay, let me just show you what's up in that grave. No headstone, just a lot of friends visiting. Okay, let's move right along. No headstone there to speak of. I'm sure someone was in there. Wow, look, there's someone down the back there too. Nothing against the fence that I can see. Someone's fallen off. Hey, that's not to say though that there aren't people buried under here as well. Now, just looking at the ground so I can stand for a second. William Charles Bootle. Bootle? I'll move more over. Where are the grassier parts? Oh, I don't seem to see as many ants. That could be there hiding. Oh, there's a big hole there. Okay, now we've got the sun to fight with too. See if I can find a bit of a closer spot. There. Now we've got James Bootle and William Charles Bootle, 1860. Now, there's a couple along the fence there I want to go around and check. So let me just come around, move quickly through the ants' nests. Okay, I can't really read that one. Let's see if I can find somewhere to stand. What have we got here? William Charles Bootle. Oh, it's him again. I just can't see it. It's very hard to see if I can... No, that's not going to help the matter. No. It is for William Charles Bootle. 50 or 90 years. 1928 by the look of it. This must be his son. And they're the Bootle family. Oh, let me just scroll out. Okay, so that's Charles there, and their family must be in this long plot here. What I guess is happening. Come over here now. There's a couple down there. I just want to skip over here. See if we can have a little look in here. Looks like a nice spot there. No animals. Wow, Elizabeth Weaver. I've got another Elizabeth Weaver. Hopefully, let me just see if I can darken that a little bit so you can see a bit better with the light. And Joseph Smith, 87. George James Weaver with her. It's very difficult to read a date on it though, unfortunately, but these ones look like they might be a little later on. The earliest ones seem to be in the corner down there. And we've got helicopter. This here, Elizabeth Smith. 1830 maybe. Not sure if that's the birth. Oh, she was aged 18 months. Oh, little one. Little itty bitty one. And there's probably more people in there. There's just no headstones to support it. I mean, there's, as you can see over here, there's a crumbled up one. Which is quite sad. Someone must have been in there. Sad. And who have we got over here? We've got John and Ruth, I think. Looks like a TH there. Could be Ruth. Parents. 1823. Yeah, so there was a lot of early deaths. Early deaths in the colony. Well, early as in when the settlers came anyway. More than just the convicts about. I'll just make sure I don't walk into a nest. Okay, I've got to get a bit closer. Elizabeth Henry, daughter of M. Henry and Elizabeth Fleming. Can you see that? Died 1825. Wow, these ones are pretty old. 1820s. Now, not the oldest we've seen. Castlereagh had an 1810, I believe. But it's definitely up there with some of the oldest, let me tell you. That's pretty good. 200 years. Now I'm just going to be as careful as I can, as it's very... Well, let me zoom out for a second. I'll show you what I've got around me. That's broken. I've got one here that's kind of broken, and we've got someone's grave right there. So I just want to make sure I'm not going to fall into a grave. Okay, so we've got Anne Brown, 1840, and Thomas Brown, 1894. Oh, must be a son maybe, or grandson. It's a big difference. She was only 30. And he was only almost 30, so they can't have been partners, but most likely relatives, absolutely. They're in the same plot and their both surnames are Brown. Now let's see. There's someone over there I wanted to have a look at without walking directly on this grave. I think I'll go around, see if I can get around here. Now there's possibly unmarked graves everywhere, as I've said before. Look at that. You can see the scratch marks on the back there, which is almost like the convict sandstone kind of, unless they've just made the design themselves, but it's very interesting. We have Robert Hobbs, 1839. Arrived on the 3rd Fleet on the Active. And Bridget Heslin. So Robert was from London, Bridget was from Dublin, and she arrived on the Sugarcane in 1793. Wow, that's quite good, isn't it? It's lovely. And I love that the inscriptions on here from so long ago are still pretty good. I suppose there's a lot of trees around, but it's pretty much out of harm's way, really, isn't it? This little cemetery, there's not much to a road. There's not too many trees overhanging, and it looks like it's pretty well maintained. So this is for George Jones. October 1845. Wow. I'll come across here. Now, we've lost that one. See, some of the headstones have fallen off, and I wonder where they've gone. Have they been placed perhaps in another grave down the end, but belonged here? You'd think they just kind of popped them on top. So where some have really survived, others have unfortunately been so damaged you can't even read them anymore. Well, that one does look like you can see an Edward something starting with S. Yeah, what's that one say there? 1854. ES 1854, so an Edward something. Now I'll come back around the other way. Come down the side. Doesn't seem to be as many ants around here. John Rose, 1855. What have we got here? William Jones and Joshua Bow. Ants again. Bowe perhaps. Oh, it's hard to read. Oh, look, there's a marble one over there. John Paul in the distance. I missed that one. John Paul, 1855. That's a good one. Yeah, it's quite peaceful here. I mean, there's cars, no doubt, and houses around, but you get a sense of not being rushed like I normally am when I'm in more of the city cemeteries or closer to civilization. You feel a little rushed. 1866 perhaps, and 1880, 1873. Oh, only aged 18. Parents and daughter perhaps. You might scoot through here. Have a look at this. Josephine Jones, Susanna Mitchell, 1891. So we're coming back down towards the 90s, the 1900s. What is that? What's that? It's like a pencil. don't know what the hell that is, but yeah, it's interesting what you find in a cemetery. George Jones and Josephine Jones. Oh, okay, there's another Josephine Jones. 37 years. Oh, it looks as though they've redone it somehow. Maybe it was too hard to read. And George. And then there's some kind of newer looking ones there. B-O-W-D, Bowd. Mervyn Jack Bowd. So that name in here might have been, instead of Bow, it could have been Bowd. And who have we got back here? Thomas. I'm trying to be careful here. Thomas. I'll just see if I can get the light back on it again. Sanders. Thomas Sanders, William Sanders, and Mary. I think it's Mary. Annie Elizabeth. Sorry. It's just a little difficult to see. I'll see if I can get the light again to brighten it, not too much, just so you can see a little bit more of it. It's quite nice, and you've got a tree growing out of it. I don't know what kind of tree that is. There's quite a lot of traffic coming through now. It's getting late and people are coming home. What is that? It's amazing what you find. I don't know. It's just stuff. Hopefully it's not a bottle. But you never know. We saw some weird things at the Penrith. Okay, so that's 1969. A couple of ones here look a little old. They look big. And big usually means old. 1872, the Owens family. Let me just get rid of that light again. We got Owens and Sanders. So it must have been Sanders. So as you can see, they've filled in a couple of the gaps from the big one under the tree to here, where they would have had. There's some old ones there, you can see they're kind of sinking. The newer ones aren't sinking as much. Now there's some stone there, so I'll go around to find where Mitch went. Little woolly wagtails around. Now these ones look interesting. Stubbs. Ellen Stubbs. William Charles Stubbs. Let me just zoom out a little. Here we go. Wow. Now we've been here about half hour now, so I'm going to have to cut this down, or you guys won't watch it to the end. Looks like Mitch has finished his area. Lark. More stubs. And some newer stubs. Yeah, and a lot of these are new. And then we've got Richard Owens up there, which I think Mitch has done. If not, I'll quickly run through and do these. I think he may have already done them, but this was my side to cover, so I've just been very slow at doing it this time. James Phillips, Thomas James, Hannah, the Phillips family, sadly sinking, but documented now, and possibly by others, but at least we've done our little bit. Sinkage. Okay. Is that Guinness? Reverend Herbert Guinness? It looks like Guinness. 59, hopefully you can see that. And also Jane, his wife. Sydney Dunstan. And unfortunately, Crackage at rest. We've got one here. Safe in the arms of Jesus. Lost a headstone. Yeah, so as you can see, it's old and sinking. It gets damp here. But for the most part, it actually seems to have weathered well. Oh, that's pretty. Isn't that nice? Someone's either gone and planted that. Elvie Edna. Roberts. That's nice. This one here seems to have faded too much. Owens, there's a couple of old ones here. William Owens. I'll just quickly do a drive by here. Sinkage. More Stubbs. So the Stubbs family's out here. Owens, more Owens family. There's a lot of water damage on that one. But these ones are quite good. More Roberts, more Stubbs, Rowland. Oh, George Rowland, sorry. John Paul. Alright, and then I kind of went to the corner there and Mitch has done the other section of the older graves. So, how interesting. Now this is Old Pitt Town Cemetery. So this is how you've got all the old ones. And we'll be checking out the other cemeteries, obviously, in Pitt Town as well as the St. James Anglican Church. But this was the Old Pitt Town Cemetery. Hope you enjoyed.
Couple in now. That's it. This one's pretty old. 1838.
It's done back there. I have to keep moving.
Okay. Not bad. Grab this one in.
Aussie made.